Right then, welcome back to the channel. Manchester United are about to play Real Betis tonight, and we're going to have a look about what might happen in that game and what to expect with Real Betis. It is the fourth pre-season friendly, and we should really be looking to start kicking into gear. This would be where I would expect Erik Ten Hag to stop with the 10 changes after 45 minutes, and I would maybe expect him to start kicking that up to like the 60th minute to get fresher or more minutes into the legs of the players that are starting that first game in preparation for, you got this game, you got Liverpool, and then you've essentially got the Charity Shield, and then guess what, fuckers? Season's on. So I think it needs to be done. So expectations are high, as they always are in San Diego, but Betis will not be an easy ride for us. They're a good opposition for us to come up against. And we're going into this with a mega depleted squad. So obviously there's a couple of injuries, but there's also the lads that have had the extended break for how deep they went into the Euros. We're missing the likes of Bruno, and also the Copa America. Bruno, Garnacho, Menu, Delo, Shaw, Bayende, Palestri, and Lisandro Martinez. So the squad has once again been hit with the injury bug of last season. It's not looking good, bruv. And we are without Lenny Euro and Rasmus Højlund. Sides like Betis will be a good opposition for United, especially with Europa League preparations going to be underway. Get a feel for them now before we hit them in Europe. So I think it's worth us trying to take this just a little bit more serious than the last one and the last two previous ones before that one as well. Now Betis, I think, is a really good choice for a pre-season game. There's one thing playing opposition that you're aware of, but they're going to bring a technical ability to the friendly that you would sort of expect from a Spanish side, but they combine that with a little bit of physical presence as well. So they're going to be a tough side to beat. They're fundamentally pragmatic. They're not necessarily going to look to get after you. So the test that we're going to be looking at here is a technical, pragmatic side that's going to be a little bit difficult for us to break down. So if we're not at it from a chance creation point of view, there's a good chance this game could be an absolute snooze fest. Now, since Pellegrini joined Betis, he's made it his mission to sort of revitalise their transition play. They like to sit in a 4-4-1-1. That gives them all the tools for the squad to make things tough for the opposition. And they can do that by turning up the heat in transition. The foundation setup is a solid, experienced back four. They typically sit behind a really aggressive defensive double pivot. And then the core of the players are usually consistent and reliable names for Betis. And without them, it can and often does crumble. They've been using a combination of William Carvalho and Sergi Altimira. It was a real success for them, particularly against Liverpool. They struggled to play through them, like at all. And they're very, very aggressive off the ball. Once they win the ball, they do have the nous to be able to create something quickly and play the ball into dangerous attackers. Betis' real creative outlet is probably a little bit higher up the pitch, and that is Fekir. And he thrives on both set pieces and in the space. And if you allow him to get his head up, he is capable of finding a deadly pass, and he's thrived in the space since he moved to Spain from Lyon. Pellegrini has got grafters everywhere on the pitch, and I think that's by design. He's got this left flank with Juanmi, and on the right he's got Pablo Fornals, and these are players that aren't strangers to having to work hard, and aiding that has got some pretty good, genuine technical talent. Point being, off the ball, this team is going to work hard. On the ball, they are actually capable of making things happen, but they're going to be more defensively minded. This, I think, is probably going to be the 11 in a 4-1-4-1. And the star man is Fekir. He is very creative. He caused all sorts of problems for Liverpool. I think it's really difficult to read him. If you're not minding your P's and Q's, he's going to pull off into the space at the side of you, and he's going to cause you all sorts of problems from those areas. It's going to be a big test for Casemiro or Collier to try and keep a hold of him, and what's probably a rotated defence, at least at some point in the game, even if we start with a slightly stronger one.
Right, listen up everyone, we've all got our own bad habits, right? Whether it's biting your nails, spending too much time on your phone, or, you know, The other one, it's tough to break free. But what if I told you there was a new healthy way to handle certain cravings, introducing Fume? Now, that's the sponsor of today's video, and it's a leader in the flavoured air category. And it's a revolutionary flavoured air device. It smells like chewing gum, right? It smells awesome, to be fair. It's a revolutionary flavoured air device that is designed to be the perfect alternative and an enjoyable way to fill that void in a natural, guilt-free way, giving you something to reach for without any of the downsides. Now, it's an award-winning flavoured air device, and it's actually really cool looking, and it's quite satisfying to use. It's really well made, it's quite weighty, it's got a high quality design, and it looks cool. It's not addictive, there's no nicotine, no batteries, no toxic flavors, and it's a pretty good way to replace a bad habit with a good one. Now, you can get all sorts of different flavors. There's cinnamon hearts, there's black licorice, there's going to be something for everyone. This is spearmint, and it's pretty popular because it's refreshing, gives a nice clean sensation without none of the guilt. It draws flavor into your mouth, not your lungs. It's total guilt-free alternative if you're trying to ditch a bad habit. There's no vapor, you can use it anywhere, and it's going to help with things like anxiety. There's all sorts of magnets, snaps and clicks, and all you got to do is sort of spin it around and adjust how much airflow comes in. If you've got a bit of a habit that you're trying to kick, then this is a bit of a game changer. If you're looking to replace a bad habit with something new and something that's guilt-free, then there's over 300,000 people have had a bit of a success story with trying it, and there's a limited time only. If you use the code Stephen Howson, that's STEPHENHOWSON, then you're going to get a free Fume base when you order your journey pack. So head over to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com. Use the code Stephen Howson or scan the QR code on the screen to get your free Fume base right now.
I think United are probably going to line up as follows. I think it's going to be Onana, Ogunai, Evans and Maguire with Amas at left back. I think it'll be Casemiro and Collier, and I think it'll be a forward three of Ahmad, Mount and Sancho behind Rashford. I think he's going to move Rashford centrally. I'm not sure if that's the best idea. I think that's what he's going to do. And we'll be looking to get Mount on the ball. But I think that the key man for United in this game is going to be Amad Diallo. He's really looked apart, I think, in pre-season so far. Got a lot to prove with the manager. He obviously wants to secure his spot in the first team. I think we all want him to secure his spot in the first team. His overall play has been really sharp, I think. He scored a real class goal against Rangers. He could look to do similar sorts of things in this game. And I think like it's the sort of game that you will see Amad shine in. How do we beat them? Well, wingers being in form for starters. If Betis want to keep things tight, you're going to have to look at players that can take advantage and make things happen. And that's where he might falter in playing Rashford down the middle rather than off the side. Because especially if you're going to start trying to push a little bit in certain directions. Amas has linked up well with Rashford down that left-hand side. If he thinks that's going to be something that you're going to look to do from the start of the season, then it will not be Rashford up front. He'll keep him there on that side, and he'll look to, it might be Sancho, it might be Hannibal. It could be anyone really rotating there. It could even be like an Anthony as something as a little bit of a surprise to throw in there. But I think Amad starts off the right almost no matter what. And if they're in form and they're getting at defensive, they knock it past someone and drive into the box, they're going to cause Betis some problems. So that would be a big thing for me to get into early doors. Secondly, fluidity. To break down a Pellegrini side that's pragmatic and sits in very rigid structures, you need to capitalise on mistakes. To force those mistakes, you're going to have to overload and rotate in certain areas. And there'll be plenty of opportunity to do that if you are fluid in attack. If you want to cause confusion, put them in unfamiliar situations. Put extra players into areas, underload some areas, overload some areas. That drags players out of position if they want to keep with you. Look to those wide rotations and see what you can make happen. And then being solid in transition ourselves. They will absolutely look to try and hit Manchester United on the break. And the way you counter that is by being very solid and ready for the transition when it comes. Again, it's a tough task for Casemiro or Collier, and it's a must for Collier's development for him to come up against this way of playing and see how he copes with this. When I was talking about there's extra things I want to see from him, extra things I want to see from him, extra things I want to see from Harry Amas before I'm ready to say that they're both capable of starting first team games in a competitive fixture. But they've got the potential to be able to convince me, and I'm sure the rest of you guys as well. The Spanish sides are tricky. They're good. You've got to prepare for the challenges that they bring in. Don't know where they're at in terms of their preparations for pre-season, but this is about getting Manchester United ready. So I expect it'll be on the counter that they really put us to the test. Outside of that, just enjoy the game. And hopefully we take a step closer to readiness for the season beginning. But cheers for tuning in as always. Give us your score predictions and which player you think could make the difference in this game. And I will see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.